פרק שישי, ביאור משנה א'. כבר למדנו בתחילת מסכתנו, we already learned in the beginning of our tractate, שאסור מן התורה להוציא מסע בשבת מרשות היחיד לרשות הרבים. We're not allowed to take from private domain to public domain. או להכניס מרשות הרבים לרשות היחיד. Or to take from public domain to private domain. Same thing, כן להעביר 400 ברשות הרבים. Same deal, we're not allowed to walk with 4 feet in the public domain. ברמב"ט, מותר לאדם לצאת בשבת. One is allowed to go out on Shabbat, לרשות הרבים, to the public domain, בכל מיני מלבושיו וכן בתכשיטיו. All kinds of garments and all kinds of jewelry. שאף תכשיט דינו כמלבוש. Because even jewelry is called a garment. So jewelry is a garment. ואילו דבר שאינו לא מלבוש ולא תכשיט, but something which is not a garment and not jewelry, אסור לצאת בו בשבת לרשות הרבים. One would not be allowed to go out on Shabbat with it to the public domain. שנחשב כמסע, because it is considered to be carrying. פרק זה בא ללמד, this chapter comes to teach us, שאפילו מלבוש ותכשיט, it says not every מלבוש ותכשיט one is allowed to go out with it. That if you have a garment or a jewelry, כל שיש בו חשש שמא ייפול, and we worried that this garment or jewelry is going to fall, או שמא הנושאו יחדצנו כדי להראותו לאחרים, or for example women like to show their jewelry to other women, yeah, או לשום צורך אחר, or for any other.
Or if she want to take it to show, you mean?
No, just this is a jewelry.
And then show. You're not supposed to show.
Yeah, women. No, she can show, but if it is made for showing, then she will not be allowed to carry it as jewelry. We'll discuss it. It's otherwise, men don't do that. Maybe sometimes, but women. Oh, I like your bracelet. Can you show it to me? Oh, and then she puts it on. Oh, I like your ring.
So you can't.
She will not be allowed to take that kind of thing outside. Why? Because then she might ויבוא להעבירו 400 ברשות הרבים. She's going to come and carry it 400 in the public domain. אסור לצאת בו לרשות הרבים מדברי סופרים. So the sage says, don't carry out those type of jewelry that you might carry in your hand. הואיל ואיסור זה אינו אלא מגזירת חכמים, since this is only from the rabbis, אין העובר על כך חייב חטאת. You're not going to bring a sin offering if you did it. משנתנו פותחת בתכשיטי אישה. We're going to start with jewelry for women. Which one she can go out and which one she can't. והיא מונה תכשיטים שאסור לאישה לצאת בהם לרשות הרבים מטעם שהזכרנו. It's going to mention all kind of jewelry that we're going to prohibit a woman to go out to the public domain from the reason we mentioned. What's the reason? גזירה מאשר תשים אותם. This is a decree because she is very likely to take them off to show it to her friends. ותעבירם 400 ברשות הרבים. And she's going to pass them then 400 in the public domain. בעל תפארת ישראל מאיר, the בעל תפארת ישראל, he mentions, שהקדים התנא דיני יציאות הבהמה לדיני יציאות האישה. It says usually human laws should come before animal laws. So why did we learn first of all the jewelry or the things for animal laws, and only now we're coming to human laws? משום שדרך הבהמה להשכים יציאתה יותר, because you have to be more careful with the animal because it comes first on Shabbos. Because the animal wakes up before your wife does, and so that's why it says the animal first. כן, הקדימתם הבהמה, התנא הבהמה דין היתר יציאתה, ואילה באישה דין איסור יציאתה. And in a woman, the judgment is of prohibition of going out. לפי שכבודה בת מלך פנימה. Because usually the women stayed most of the time indoors.
In other words, they should have said what Isha is not permitted to go out with, like the בהמה.
Yeah.
אבל הוא הפך.
Yeah. במה אישה יוצא ובמה אינה יוצא. In what does the woman go out and in what she doesn't go out? What are we talking about? We're talking about Shabbat לרשות הרבים. Talking about on Shabbat, the public domain. לא תצא אישה, a woman should not go out, לא בחוטי צמר, not with strings of wool, ולא בחוטי פשתן, and not with string of flax, ולא ברצועות שבראשה, and not in straps that are in her head. In other words, today you see them all the time. You know, they have קוקיות. No, קוקיות, straps, you know, they make צמה, and they tie it up. All kinds of gummies, whatever the women have, or sometimes over here. Yeah? Again, this is not halacha. Not halacha. Don't forget, when we learn Mishnah, we're not learning halacha. Actually, women today do that. Not only that, everything. All the things they do.
Okay.
Not only that, they do everything. But over here in the Mishnah says, we're not allowed to do it, we're going to see why not. תיבת שבראשה, בראשה מוסבה גם על החוטים, that in her head goes also on the חוטים, on the straps, היינו שלא תצא לא בחוטי צמר ולא בחוטי פשתן שבראשה. She's not allowed to have any kind of material in her head. ולא ברצועות בסרטים שבראשה. Not in strap, not kind of anything. ולא תטבול בהם, and she should not go to the mikveh with them עד שתרפם, until she's going to loosen them up. Which means when a woman goes to the mikveh, she's not allowed to walk with those things into the mikveh. Regular day, it's not Shabbos. Yeah, why? Because they're very tight on her hair. They're very tight, which means that the water is not going to come inside. So if the water is not going to come inside, her going to the mikveh is not going to be good enough. Yeah, so she needs to, before she goes to the mikveh, to untighten them. So now comes the question: if they're tight in her hair, right?
Yeah.
So what's the question? What are we worried about? We remember with the animal, if it was...
Go to the mikveh.
Let's say it,
That's what we worry.
and if she goes to the mikveh, what's going to be a problem?
Because she's going to forget it.
And so
she goes into the mikveh.
so he tells her, we're not dealing with the laws of mikveh, we're dealing with laws of Shabbat.
But he's saying that, not me.
Yeah. But he's not going to be worried about laws of mikveh over here. And he says,
why does he bring the mikveh?
So that's exactly
mikveh? I don't understand.
That's exactly my question. So what's going to be a problem? So let's see. ולא תטבול.
Shabbat, לא עושים בשבת mikveh.
You can.
See?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you can.
If that's the time, that's where you can go. ולא תטבול בהם עד שתרפם. כשהיא טובלת במקווה, when she goes to the mikveh, אחר ימי נידתה, after the days of her, when she's impure, צריכה היא להתיר קצת את החוטים ואת הרצועות שיהיו רפואים בשערות ראשה. She would need to loosen them. If it's tight, then she doesn't have a problem going with them on Shabbat. Right? Just like we say with the animals. If it's tight on the animal, don't worry about it. If it's not tight, then start worrying about it. Right? So why is she... כדי שיכנסו המים ביניהם. So she will need to loosen them. Why does she need to loosen them? So that the dip him in the mikveh is going to be kosher. כדי שיכנסו המים ביניהם ולא יהיה חוצצים בין המים לשערות. So there wouldn't be anything between the water and the hairs. בגמרא מבואר, in the Gemara it explains, שפסקה זו היא נתינת טעם לדין שלפניה. So now we understand why she's not allowed to go out with the things, even if they're tight. She's not allowed to go out, because but and then it still doesn't make sense. And I'll tell you why. What do you mean? If she plans to go to the mikveh, maybe then she don't allow her. But why are you not allowing her ever to go out with it? She's going to be tight. What are you worried about? כלומר, so let's see. שהפיכך אסור לאישה לצאת בשבת בחוטים מרצות שבראשה, because that's why we're going to prohibit a woman to go out with these straps in her hair, מפני שאמרו חכמים, because the sages says, לא תטבול בהם עד שתרפם. So because they told her she should not dip in them until she is going to loosen them. ולכן חוששים שמא תלך בשבת לטבול טבילה של מצווה. We are worried maybe she's going to walk on Shabbat to dip, to go to the mikveh of mitzvah. והיא תצטרך לרף אותם, and she will need to loosen them, ותשכח, and then she is going to forget that they are loose, ותעבירם 4 אמות ברשות הרבים, and then she's going to go for אמות in רשות הרבים. ולא בתותפת, and they don't go out in a תותפת. Now, all the things, you probably saw it, I'm sure in Bukhara they have it, and I'm sure also you saw it in Yerushalayim, the Arabs wear all this jewelry. All this jewelry is going to, see over here, you're going to see it. Yeah, Raviot, that's right. That's exactly what it is. Exactly, close to that. בציץ הקשור על המצח מאוזן לאוזן. It was like the tzitz of the Kohen הגדול להבדיל, you know, and it's from here, from ear to ear. All kinds of jewelry. ולא בסנבוטין, and she's not allowed to go into tefet again. Why not into tefet? Because she's going to go work in the city and says, oh, show me. That's a very nice one. Yeah, don't do that. ולא בסנבוטין, she did not go in סנבוטין. סרטים היורדים מן הראש על הלחיים. So it says, you would put something over here, like a hand bend, and then you would have like stuff coming down, like kishutim, exactly. נשים עניות, so the poor women would put סרטים צבעוניים, would put all kind of laces which were colored, והעשירות עושות רצועות של כסף ושל זהב. The rich one would do silver and gold. ומפאת חשיבותם, and because they're so nice and they're so adornment and they're so important, חוששים שמא תסירם כדי להראותם לחברותיה. We're worried about, oh, that's a nice one, let me see it. When do we do this? בזמן שאינם תפורים, as long as they are not tied down. So let's explain this. The women used to go out with a kind of hat to cover their hair. So they used to put this, and there was a hat that covered their hair. So if it was not connected to the mitpachat that covered their hair, then you're not allowed to go out. But if it was connected, it was tied down to the hairnet, to the wig, to the whatever it is, then you're not worried she's going to take it off, because she can't take it off. She's not going to take off the hairpiece. So if it's connected, then it's okay. That's what it's going to say. בזמן שאינם תפורים, at the time that they are not tied down. בזמן שהתותפת והסנבוטין אינן תפורים בשבחה שעל ראשה. In the things that are on her head. אבל כשהם תפורים בסבכה אין כל חשש, but when they are tied into the hairpiece, there's no worried. שאין אישה מורידה את השבחה מעל ראשה ברשות הרבים, because the woman is not going to take it down in the public domain. Why? Because שלא תגלה שערותיה. It's embarrassing for her that she's going to reveal her hair. ולא בכבול, and she's also not allowed to go out in a כבול. What's a כבול? כמין כיפה של צמר, it is like a כיפה, like a hat of wool, הנתונה מתחת לתותפת, that is put underneath the tzitz, the תותפת over here, שלא תלחץ על מצחה. It's why does it do it? So that it's not going to hurt her forehead. ופעמים שהיא מתקשטת בכפול בלבד. There are times she just puts the כבול itself. Even that is a nice looking one. בלי התותפת, without the תותפת. So even with that hairband, let's call it, she's not allowed to go out. לרשות הרבים. All the things she's not allowed to go into the public domain. תיבות אלו מוסבות על הכבול בלבד. Over here, it goes only on the כבול. שאסור לאישה לצאת בכבול לרשות הרבים. She's not allowed to go in the כבול to the public domain. אבל החצר מותר, but to her own backyard, to the חצר, she is allowed to. What's the difference between a חצר and a public domain? So it's simple, a חצר is not public, but it is public. What do I mean? A חצר, think about it like there's 10 houses, and they share a common ground. So it is semi-public. It's one of those called, it's not everybody is using it.
It's your public area.
It's also, yeah,
And,
it's a partnership. It's a partnership public area, so the Chatzer is less severe. אבל כל אלו שנמנו למעלה, but all those that we mentioned above, אסרו חכמים להם לצאת בהם בשבת אפילו לחצר. All the other ones, you're not even allowed to go, even to the yard. You remember last time you asked me about the animals?
Okay.
You see, I don't know exactly what's going on over there. Is the Chatzer, according to the other Mishnah, I'm not sure there's a difference between the Chatzer and the real public domain. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, I'm not quite sure. Yeah. שמא תתרגל בהם ותצא אף לרשות הרבים. We're worried, maybe she's going to get used to it. Once she goes out into the semi-public domain, she might decide she's also allowed to go to the real public domain, and we don't want that to happen. ואין כאן גזרה לגזרה. And like we said before, we don't do decree to decree, אלא גזרה אחת שגזרו חכמים. It's only one decree that the sages established. שלא תתקשט בהם בשבת כלל, לא בחצר ולא ברשות הרבים. The sage says, guys, you shouldn't put things that you might take them off, not in רשות הרבים, not in the חצר, that's it. ואילו בקבול התירו בחצר, so how come in קבול, the sage says you're allowed in the courtyard, שלא לאסור את כל תכשיטיה ותתגנה על בעלה. It says you have to give the women something nice to have. Otherwise, she's going to let herself go, like they say. She's not going to look nice. It says women want to look nice, so you have to give her some out somewhere. So you have to give her something.
נתן לה כיפה.
ויש, זה לא כיפה.
זה כמו כיפה כזה.
לא, זה, אתה זוכר את הטבעות שיושבות פה?
כן.
עכשיו, זה כואב לה. אז הן שמות כמו הרבנד, שזה יישב על הטבעות. זה נראה כמו, זה של זה בדיוק. ויש מפרשים, so it's not going...
אבל עם הטבעות אסור לה.
עם הטבעות אסור לה, but they used to make it nice, you know, with nice adornments and nice...
רק אם זה מותר.
Exactly. They actually shouldn't have, but they had to give her something.
שלא תתגנה על בעלה.
Yeah. ויש מפרשים, this is a very important rule. When the sages make decrees, it's not like the laws over here in America. When people make laws in America, they don't care what's going to happen in the future. I mean, they try to think about it a little bit, but usually the one law that they make makes 10 problems in other places. You know, every law makes another 50 problems in other laws because they interact. The sages were extremely careful before enacting any law. Over here, the sages...
They think what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
How people would take it, what they're going to do.
That one, and also, who gave you permission to make somebody's life more miserable? Who gave you permission? What are you making a law? And no, but God says it's okay. You come as a rabbi and you're worried about something, so you have to have a very good reason for it. And if you're going to harm somebody, so they said, we are harming somebody over here. Who are we harming with these laws? The men don't care. Jewelry, no jewelry, nobody cares. Yeah, but the women, they do care. So we need to...
Jewelry, I'm going to not look nice for my husband.
That's right. So because of that, even when they make a law, they're very careful to make sure that they cover all the bases. Because otherwise, what's going to cause, and they think about it, it's going to cause resentment. Resentment to the religion, resentment to everything. And who says we can cause resentment? So they have to make sure that the resentment, to minimize the resentment as much as possible. They say it is necessary for us to put laws, because otherwise people are going to transgress a Torah law. They're not going to remember. But we're going to try it. That's right. ויש מפרשים, and there are those who explain, שלרשות הרבים מוסב על כל התכשיטים שנמנו במשנה. Some says that when it says to the public domain, it means all the jewelry that we mentioned in the Mishnah, שלא אסרו חכמים, אלא ברשות הרבים, גזר השם התרדלם על 4 אמות, שם 4 אמות. Some say it's got nothing to do with חצר. When it says רשות הרבים, it means רשות הרבים and not חצר.
חצר יכולה.
Yeah. No, the opposite. לחצר היא יכולה in all of them. רשות הרבים means will רשות הרבים, not חצר. Some more things. ולא תצא האישה בעיר של זהב, and the woman should not go out with a city of זהב. You remember ירושלים של זהב with Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva was very poor. He all the time promised his wife he's going to buy her ירושלים של זהב. What was ירושלים של זהב? It was an ornament. He used to wear like a city of gold. You know, it was a city made out of gold. So he always promised her, one day I'm going to be able to buy you ירושלים של זהב. This is an עיר של זהב. בעטרת זהב שעיר ירושלים חקוקה בה. It's like עטרת זהב. ולא בקטלה. She's also not allowed to go in קטלה. קטלה, you know what is a קטלה? No. לא. לא. אני חושב שזה... I actually think that קטלה, no, it's not a regular שרשרת. Yeah, but today maybe they use it for שרשרת. קטלה was... See again. No. I'll explain what it is. Katla, it is a type of שרשרת, but it's not שרשרת. In English, I think it's called choker. You know, all these women who put like a dog collar on their neck, very, very tight.
The neck.
Very tight. Okay. That's why it's called קטלה.
אז יש להם פה דבר כזה שמראה.
קטלה זה כמו לקטול, להרוג. כי זה הורג, זה חונק. זה חונק.
בשביל זה קטלה.
קטלה. Now, why did they used to do it? Why did the women used to do it? Unlike today, when all the women like to look nice and thin, in that time, the women had to look. It was more nicer for a woman to look nice and fat. Because who's thin? Only the poor people. The fat people. So she wanted to have the folds of the fat show up. So she was choking on her, so it will come up the fat. Yeah, so this is what katla is. I think by the way, in Arabic it's called machnaka. It's chonek, machnaka. Machnaka, yeah. No, I remember it from the Gemara. Yeah, I don't know it. I don't know it from the Arabic. I remember it says that some of you say מחנקה.
כן, אבל זה באמת הדיאס, זה קוראים לזה בעברית.
It's not על שרשרות.
זה שרשרת שממש קרובה לצוואר.
ולא בקטלה, בשרשרת על הצוואר, ולא בנזמים. And not in nose rings. בגמרא מבואר דווקא בנזמי האף. The Gemara explains specifically in nose rings, not in earrings. אבל בנזמי האוזן מותר לו לצאת. But earrings she's allowed to go out. It looks like for some reason earrings they would not take off, but nose rings they would take off.
They had a hole in the in the nose. They had a hole and put and they had to take it out.
ולא בטבעת שאין עליה חותם. So in a tabat, there's two kinds of tabaot that they used to have in those days. A regular tabat men used to wear. Why did the men used to wear a tabat? Not because it was a tabat. It's like a watch. Watch it was the pen. Every time they need to sign something, they used to have every man has a different sign, like used to carve a different sign for his family name or whatever it was over there, and when he needed to he put it in wax or in ink and went like this. It was like a signature. So it was like a thing that men used to wear because every business deal, every time you need to do something, you need it. Yeah, exactly. That was a thing that men used. It was the name of the family on it. So that for sure you're not allowed to go on to Shabbat. There's no question about it because this is business. But over here they tell her, even if it's not for that purpose, I don't allow you to go to wear with rings. Don't go out with a ring on Shabbat. This is what it means. ולא בטבעת שאין עליה חותם, and not with a טבעת that is not on it a stamp, לחתום בו איגרות וכיוצא בהם, to sign with it letters and similar. כלומר, אפילו בטבעת שאין עליה חותם, for them they're not even allowed to go with any kind of ring. שהיא נחשבת כתכשיט לאישה, because it is considered like a jewelry for a woman, and therefore we're afraid she might take them off. Good question. What about today? Again, it looks like today the women are not the sages. For whatever happened throughout history, I don't know, but the sages says there's no more danger for women taking off their rings. I don't know why. It's a good question. What changed? When did exactly it change? Now, the mikveh, I understand where it changed, but this, when did that change? ולא במחט שאינה נקובה. Oh, so the same thing. Now, if the machat, the needle, has a hole, then for sure you're not allowed to take it out because it's a garment. It's something That's right. It's something to sew with. It's a thing. What are you doing with it? But over here, it doesn't have a hole. What does it mean? It's used as a pin. It's a nice pin. That's right. ולא במחט שאינה נקובה, not with a needle that is not hold, אפילו אינה נקובה, even if it's not hold. שהיא כתכשיט, that it is only jewelry, it's only a tool. בכל אלו אסורה לצאת בהם מדברי סופרים, in all this she is forbidden to go out from the words of the rabbis, מהטעם שביארנו לעיל. Again, the reason is, we're afraid she's going to start swapping and showing to her friends. ואם יצאת, what happens if she by mistake went out with them? ואם יצאה אישה לרשות הרבים באחד מאלה שנמנו לעיל, אינה חייב חטאת. With the mistake, she's not obligated to bring a sin offering because it's only from the rabbis, it's not from the Torah. שכולם תכשיטים הם, they are all jewelry, and jewelry are allowed, we're just afraid that this kind of jewelry she's going to show. ואינה אסורה לצאת בהם אלא מדברי סופרים. The only reason we forbid her to go out is just from the rabbis. גזרה שמא תסירה להראותם לחברותיה ותעבירם 400 ברשות הרבים. It's a decree that we're afraid they're going to start swapping it in the middle of the street. ברם, טבעת שיש עליה חותם ומחט נקובה, but if it's a ring with a stamp or a needle with a hole, אינם בכלל תכשיטים. Those are not even jewelry. Those are tools. ואם יצאה בהם, and if she went out with those things, הרי חייבת חטאת. Then she is obligated the sin offering. Then she transgressed a mitzvah from the Torah. כמבואר להלן במשנה ג', like we're going to explain later on in משנה ג',